Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to show you the best stuff to make a good bear bait. We've been saving stuff in our freezer, our deep freeze for, all winter. So basically, some of the best bear bait that you can have is bread products. So we save all of our old bread, waffles that we don't eat, buns, leftover cake. Some meat, we don't do a ton of meat, but a little bit of meat. Bears love fried chicken, some pies, we got some Easter eggs up there. So we've got a bunch of old bread that we're gonna take out, and we're gonna put them in some garbage bags and tie them up. We don't want them to be super heavy because we're gonna be up at 9,500 feet. And then we have a bunch of old candy that I put in this barrel. So in this barrel, I've got some cereal, cookies, candy, the kids' old Halloween candy, Easter candy, Christmas candy. We kind of save all that stuff throughout the course of the year. With bears are like dogs. They can get a neurological problem from eating too much chocolate. So try not to use a lot of chocolate when you mix candy in. Some really, really good baits to use are hot chocolate, Kool-Aid, especially cherry and strawberry Kool-Aid, and Jello. Cherry, strawberry Jello works awesome. It coats the bait really, really well. Some other really good baits, super light bait to use is popcorn, and another great bait is dog food, and then the other good bait is chips. So when you go to your grocery store, you can ask the grocery store, if you have old bread, can I buy old bread from you, or can you give it to me? You can get old donuts. You can get their old, food from the deli, like fried chicken. Those all work really, really well. If you know the people that distribute bread and chips, get old chips. Bears love Doritos. We're gonna use flaming hot Doritos. We've got a big giant garbage bag full of those. Bears love that stuff. And then grains. So you can use cob, which is corn, oats, barley. You can use corn, and you can get a lot of that stuff from feed stores. The other big ingredient that you want to get is some old cooking grease. And this is kind of a weird one. So old cooking grease, you can get that from McDonald's, from Kentucky Fried Chicken, from the deli, from any restaurant. Just ask them, hey, when you dump your grease out, can I have it? Used cooking grease works the best. So this is a jug of used cooking grease. We're going to put an additive in this. It comes from a company, there's lots of companies that make it, but I use one from a company called Boar Masters, and it's called Caramel Extreme. And you put a little bit, like 4 drops of that into, I can't remember what the quantities are, but I'll read it for you. But you put a few drops in your jug of grease, and it smells just like caramel. And then I use fresh grease, olive oil or vegetable oil, and another additive called Castor, which is just a beaver gland extract. And bears love beavers, and those two things work great. Whenever you dump your bait in your can, you want to kind of toss some of this grease in there, and that grease just lasts forever, and that gets that stink out. That's what brings those bears in. And I'll kind of show you how to do that here in just a little bit. So we dumped out a whole bunch of bread into these 2 garbage bags. One of the other things I've been doing is saving bacon grease, ham grease, some old juice. And we're going to take one of these jugs out and either soak it in some warm water, just put it in some warm water, or just leave it sit out in the sun so this melts. And we'll pour some of this all over the bait too. Anything to get smell out. One of the other things that I've got that we'll throw in here too is some old onions. So we grew a bunch of onions in the garden, and bears love wild onions, especially in the mountains. So we're gonna throw some onions in the bait too, just getting as much smell as we could possibly get out there. All right. Okay, here is the product that I really like to mix with the used cooking grease and the fresh grease. This is the Castor, made by Boar Masters. Great company. They're out of Idaho. You can order their stuff online or get on their website. And this is the key product, is this caramel. It is awesome. There's 4 ounces in each of those bottles, and they say to mix 1 to 2 ounces per 5 gallons of used cooking grease. I mix the Castor with fresh grease, but we try to mix the caramel with the used grease. Back here are those onions that I was talking about. They've been sitting in the greenhouse all winter. They're kind of little soft and rotty, which is the way I like them. And there's some of that grease, bacon grease, that I'm going to try to heat up and thaw. Get it kind of liquidy, so I could dump it in with the bait. So we're going to put some of this stuff in the grease, and we'll go from there. This is a super messy job, so make sure you do this outside, and make sure you do it where you don't mind if you spill some grease. So in the garden, on some dirt. I'm gonna probably actually go over to the garden and do this. I'm filming this myself, so I'm not gonna probably show you the process of me putting this in here. So I'm gonna put the Castor in that fresh grease, and I'm gonna put the caramel in that used grease, and then I'm gonna put some of that used grease in a bottle, an old 7-Up bottle, because I don't want to use it all. I'm just gonna use a little bit of it, take it up and dump it on the bait. Alright, mixed up the caramel and the Castor. The Castor makes your fresh oil pretty murky. The smell of this caramel and this fresh grease is unreal. It honestly smells amazing, but make sure you store this outside, in the shop, in the garage, whatever, because it is unreal how much this stuff smells, and you will smell it for miles away. I mean, that's why bears can pick it up. So I'm gonna dump some of that into a 7-Up bottle. I've got a bottle in here someplace, and then we'll go from there. Okay, there you have it. Definitely a lot more grease in that 7-Up bottle than you need in the can. In the can, in that 55-gallon barrel, you're probably going to want about half of that grease in there. The other half I'm going to dump around the can and trail it for 200 yards in a bunch of directions. And that's exactly what I'm going to do with the Castor as well. We're going to trail it around the can. Don't make the mistake of putting it in the can, or on the can, I'm sorry, because I'll get your can super greasy. I've done that before, and that is a bad move. Just kind of around it and on the bait, in it with the caramel. You can put some of the Castor in the can too on your bait. I don't, but by all means, we've done it before and it works. I mean, bears love beavers, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to show you a lot of the setup whenever we get up to the mountain, because we'll have a ton of gear on our backs. But once we're all set up and ready to go, I'll show you what that looks like. One last thing, big recommendation: if you're going to be setting up a trail cam, get yourself one of these bear-proof boxes. They are pretty slick. You open them up. You got to take a screwdriver or a drill up to the mountain, and you screw this thing into wherever, a tree, post, whatever, and then you put your camera in there, put your straps in. We've had probably 3 or 4 cameras eaten by bears. They will find them and they will chomp them. So this will save you a lot of money in the long run to pick up one of these, $30 to $50 bear-proof boxes. Definitely get one of these. We will see you up on the mountain.